This time I'll let you finish recording, Amy.
Hi. When is Mercury out of retrograde?
The 18th.
Of what? What month?
October.
What year?
You know what I'm saying? It's way a lot, y'all. There's like blood, sweat, and tears to bring you this one, kids.
This one has been an award tour, okay? Anyway, well, let's just get into it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So your boy Chappelle is at it again, upsetting the kids.
Well, okay. So Dave Chappelle currently has on Netflix his latest and last special for Netflix called The Closer, and everybody knows Chappelle from the Chappelle Show, which I think we can agree is one of it was an absolutely brilliant, fantastic show. Funny, good sketch comedy show. Yes. And then, he disappeared. I don't have to give the history of Chappelle, but increasingly, he's always been edgy. He's always gone for the jugular in a lot of ways, but in a very smart, interesting way. And, going after, race and stuff. Like, he's a complicated guy. All right. Anyway, long story short, this special is he spends 45 minutes out of a not even an hour and change special talking about people's reactions to his reactions to trans people. So it's almost like one of these, it doesn't upset me, and it really, because his last couple of specials, he has been rightfully sort of chastised for talking a lot and in a very kind of dismissive and derogatory way about trans people. And he talks a lot about gender and this. I mean, all right, so there's two things. I watch all special. There are parts of it that are very, very funny. But my overall reaction watching it was I started getting this tightness in my chest. And I started thinking, what am I participating in here? Number one. And number two, of all the topics in the world for a man of this intelligence and media savvy and thoughtfulness and understandable rage, trans, this is the issue you want to die on? Like, what are Black trans people 1/100th of the population? Or trans people, it doesn't even go up to Black. And it's like the most marginalized, persecuted group easily in the United States. And this is the fight you want to have? And it's one of those like,
it's low hanging fruit.
It's totally low hanging fruit.
And this is why I don't really fuck with him. I'm not a huge Dave Chappelle fan. Do I feel like he has the right to say it? Yes, I do, actually. I will defend that because I like bawdy humor. I like dirty humor. I can laugh at Black jokes. I can laugh at gay jokes. It has to be funny with a funny intention.
Right.
The issue that I have with him is it keeps coming back to this same subject. And I think about him being the man who walked away from his show because he said he looked over and saw the white people and he realized they weren't laughing with him, they were laughing at him. And so I feel like him constantly coming back to this subject is not him laughing with, but laughing at. And so that is why I don't even need to watch it. And what I like to say to my trans brothers and sisters and theys and thems and the full community, it's like, fuck Dave Chappelle. Here's the thing. There are going to be people who hate us. They hate our community. They are just going to hate us. There are going to be some people who love us, some people who don't. But at the end of the day, if he is not standing in the way of your progress, of your housing, of your fighting for fair and equal treatment with jobs. These are the real fights. And the Black and trans women of color who are being murdered on the street, these are our fights. Fuck Dave Chappelle. He is an entertainer. He is a comedian. It does not matter what he thinks. Well, it really doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. You're exactly right. I just feel like it's so weird because my main thing is I think it's lazy. It's just lazy humor.
The low hanging fruit.
Yeah, it's lazy.
It's why I get so funny when I watch him and all these dudes like Boosie and everybody wanting to defend their shit. It's like, you guys are so mad that gay people you have been talking about us like animals. Like you want us to hate ourselves and die for decades on decades. And now all of a sudden that the power is kind of flipping with the way we react to stuff. It's like you see how it just really gets under people's skin. Like, here's the thing, Amy. When I was young, I integrated a school. So that's when I really realized, oh, there's something about me that's different, because I was just Courtney around my family and my friends until that moment at St. Pius in Queens. But I never realized that the fight I would have within my own community just for being gay, you know what I mean? Of Black people. So I had to develop, you know, you can go in one of two directions. Like you can internalize that and it really make you a fearful person, or you can be like me. I'm like, well, they keep calling me this thing that I feel special, so I must be special. And they can't handle my specialness. And that's the route that I took.
Right.
And I want to say to these young people, it's like, fuck these people. They're never going, you don't need them. You don't, the low-hanging fruitness of it all, just, it's so lazy, Amy. It's so fun. It's like the fag joke. Okay.
Exactly. Or it's
really,
like,
it's like that didn't just roll past you down the street. It's so fucking lazy.
Well, I mean, he is kind of, and then, you know, I almost don't even want to give him that much air, but he is oddly, because he is not a yuck, yuck, yuck kind of comedian. He has been on some sort of path, and I hate that word, but he is definitely going, he is somebody who is trying, it's almost like he's having a conversation. First off, he comes off very defensive. It's like, you said this shit, live with it. You said this shit, you got consequences, and then carry on it. You're a grown-ass man. You have lots of things you could talk about. I mean, there are some parts of it that are sort of like funny, but it's like, you know, this stop punching down line. It's like people who do not have power cannot punch down on anyone. And so if your idea of gay power is Hollywood, you're an idiot. That's not power. That's a very elite portion. He is clearly trying to work something out. Fine, work it out. You're that kind of comedian. But 45 minutes of a 55-minute special, basically making cracks about gender. He's just misinformed. He doesn't understand the difference between sexuality and gender. You know, he's always been problematic when it comes to women.
I'm so tired of everybody giving me like he's the voice of Black people. I'm like, well, I'm like, how come he never has a Black wife? Then?
Well, Courtney, that has nothing to do with anything. You fall in love with who you fall in love with.
I am a Black person, okay, and I am tired of people standing up telling me they're the voice of something. You do fall in love with who you fall in love with, but it's funny how somebody's supposed to be the voice for our community never has a woman that looks like him to stand there. The biggest thing you could show a Black community is a Black family unit together.
Well, I don't know if he's ever spoken.
This is my opinion as a Black man. This is how I feel about him and a lot of his bullshit.
All right, but I can't
and the
go
shit
there.
That he says, you can't, because I'm talking as a Black man.
Right, and I'm talking, I'm just saying that who he decides to have children with is not my issue, you know.
Well, you're not the one who said it.
The Black Panthers dated white women too. So
well, I'm just saying, there's always a lot of that. I'm like, don't try to point your finger at me and tell me about the community and this and this and that and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, I don't really, like, who are you?
At this point, his community is incredibly wealthy people. That's his community.
That's his community.
That's his community.
That's his community. His community is, he flies around on private jets.
His community
his world is very insular and small. That's his community. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People need to stop. I've said it on this show a million times. Stop looking to people who are there to sell you things, to tell you anything about anything. Their whole job is to sell you some shit. And all of the people who ran to hate watch it to hear what he said, Netflix got what they wanted. Because, you know, they were like, we're going to support it because I'm sure record numbers of people went to watch.
Right.
But what did he actually say? Yeah. And that's why I didn't watch it. You watched it. And I said, you can watch it and talk to us.
Well, I watched it because honestly, I felt like I had to watch it so I could get a full opinion. I couldn't.
And listen, and you can love. This is not, you know me. Like there's interracial marriages. My godmother, my Aunt Louie, interracial. It's not about that. I'm just like, maybe a better way of saying it's like, look at the messenger before you get it sent the message. Because I look at him and I'm like, of course you're gonna say some bullshit. Fuck you. Like, what does that have to do with anything? You know what I mean? I think we need to start taking that approach with a lot of these people that we give all of this weight to when they say shit. Where it's like their words don't mean shit. Fuck them.
I have also, well, I mean, all right, but I have often contended, I'll tell you the most fascinating, the most shocking thing about this special is he appears to have stopped smoking, which is stunning because I'm like, usually that guy's got a cigarette in his mouth at the Kennedy Center honors. I was like, what the fuck? He's not smoking. I mean, I have said this and then we can move on to another homophobe. I have said that I think that we always assume that the tech guys are hipper than they actually are. We always assumed that Dave Chappelle and many people are much more politically progressive. And it's very likely that he is much more conservative than we think he is, in some areas. I think It's very possible. He comes from an intellectual family, but it's very likely that he has much more conservative values than we think he does. And that's fine.
Because if you really think about it, we don't know shit about him for real. We really don't.
Oh, I know a lot about him.
People, well,
I mean, people do know about him. I mean,
the publicly know, and you know what I mean. If you ask people really to ask what's his politics, people can't tell you that shit.
Well,
there's a lot they don't know about him.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean. People assume because of his comedy.
Well, that's what I mean.
That he's one way, but that is completely different.
Right.
From working around, I've worked with a lot of people who I see the image that's out there and the way they're written about, and I'm like, it is the complete opposite from the person. I think he may have a much more Midwest conservative streak, which is fine. That is fine. You don't have to be a socialist to be funny. No. But anyway, it's like pick a different hill to die on, Dave. Just pick a different hill. And he is stuck on this motherfucker. It's so it's like why? But it's like his on his way out. Fuck you.
Well, no, he's always been a brat. I mean, that's the thing. He has always been a brat. He has always been a fuck you. I'm going to do what I want to do. And that's his comedy. He is not, that's his comedy. So this is part of me.
And part of me will always appreciate a motherfucker who's like, well, fuck it.
Yeah, no, this is what he wants to do. He is closer in mentality in many ways to Kanye in like, I'm going to do what I fucking want to do. You either like it or you don't like it. If you don't like it, fuck you. If you do like it, fuck you. I got paid anyway. I mean, that's really kind of his mentality. The check cleared whether you like it or not. All right, why don't you talk about what's his name? John Gruden.
John Gruden. Okay, so first,
I didn't even know that they moved to Las Vegas. Let's talk about that.
Well, how did you miss that? That was such a big
I don't pay attention to football. I don't pay attention to football. I really
People in Oakland were very upset.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I do know that. Okay.
Because like everybody left Oakland, then the Warriors left and now they're in San Fran. But so there were these emails in 2011 when John Gruden wasn't even in the league. He was not in the league at the time. Sent to the head of the Washington football team. And he had a bunch of like racially insensitive stuff to say about the head of the black head of one of the departments.
The Players Union. I think it was the Players Union.
And he had all of the very homophobic remarks about Roger Goodell, Well, people just thought it was like this little series of emails that he sent then. Well, then 2 days ago, Miss New York Times, this is where you love the Times. This is when they come out with shit. They come up with 7 years worth of John Gruden emails. Yeah. So chock full of homophobic, racist, crazy, like just anti-women shit. And you start to realize, this is where you can't just be like, you know how the people always like to say, that's not me. Actually, it's you. It's you. And you seem like a real fucking dick. And he, quote unquote, retired as to not be a distraction to the team. But his NFL career is over. No one will ever hire him for an NFL team again. He's done. I don't even know if a college team would hire him for anything right now. He's kind of just fucked himself. And between that and like,
except that wasn't he defended by Tony Dungy, who's also problematic, and somebody else?
That one person.
Yeah, Tony Dungy's been problematic for quite some time.
I mean, it's like, sir, have 5 fucking seats, because have 5 fucking seats. And you know what? It's just You know what it feels like lately? The chickens are coming home to roost for a lot of people. I am an absolute believer in the universe and karma. And that karma is a cunty girl who likes to come and serve dinner real cold when you're not waiting for her. I feel that way. You know, listen, I want whatever's happening with Wendy Williams. I hope she gets better and feels better. I kind of feel like it's karma swinging back in her direction for all of the years of being a mean girl. It's like to see all of this madness kind of happening in her life. I don't feel like you can put a lot of negativity in the world, be rewarded for it for a very long time, and not have to pay the piper back. I just don't. And you never know what form that is going to come in.
Well, I will say this about John Gruden. Let me think. Rich white man in organized sports thinks poorly of gay people, black people, and women. Wait a minute. I need to think about this. Oh my God, Courtney, is water also wet? Yeah, I am not. You know, I mean, and I honestly, I hate to say this. In 5 years, he's got a job again.
No, he won't. No, I don't think after this one. Because, you know, now everybody's too kumbaya. No.
Well, anyway, it did not surprise me. No. I mean, it did not surprise me. At this point,
I think I say nothing.
No, but this is like, he's in the NFL. It's not like he was in women's badminton, for fuck's sake. He's in the most macho sport in the world, where they're screaming and yelling about black people kneeling, and they're screaming and yelling about everything, and it's a bunch of men smashing each other in the head every week. Oh, wow, he's a racist and I mean, the degree of what the shit he said was like, you got to be kidding me. And it's still
it was like, you wrote that down? That's the kind of shit you say to somebody.
It's like say what you will about Donald Trump, and I don't want to say anything. He never sent anything by email. Ever. There is no paper trail.
Which is why they can never get him. Because none of his shit is by email. I'm like, nope.
I'm like, dude, you're writing this shit on email? Like, come on, man. Like, you should be writing it on an Etch-a-Sketch. My favorite is people always think, well, I deleted it. It's like, sir. There is no deleting.
There's no delete.
There's no deleting.
There's no such thing as delete. Ever. Yeah. They got 7 years worth of
your shit. I know, really. All he had to do is call in a high school shit and kid and Google in his name, and boom, end of career. All right. Well, speaking of end of career, fuck. Okay. The only good thing about Kyrie, and you and I hope can agree on this. Kyrie Irving, who is still trying to figure out the earth is flat or not. So he's an idiot. He really is. He's one of those, I'm going to do my own research. I'm sorry.
God. It's like what? Like,
yeah, what research? Okay. But the only good thing about this is that it fucks up the Nets, and yay, Knicks.
No, but it doesn't fuck up the Nets. Because like I said to somebody last year, it's like, it's not like he played that much. The motherfucker stayed injured. They did all of that shit mostly without him.
But it's just a bonehead.
My problem with him is he's a distraction on every fucking team.
He is.
It's always something with him. It's always something. It's like, dude, you're like the guy who's actually the asshole, but you don't realize that it's you. Yeah, you're like talking about all of this. Can you believe this shit's going on? And it's like, you're actually the problem.
You're the one who's causing the problem.
Every team you go to, there is something surrounding you, and then you stay injured. It's like, sir. Yeah. And I like Kyrie. It's kind of like.
Yeah, he doesn't get it. And so, you know what? He's unvaccinated. He won't get vaccinated because he's doing his own research. Whatever. All right, you're not going to play. I mean, good for the Nets.
I feel like, if you're that against it, that is fine. But then understand you might have to sit out.
Yeah. I mean, good. Just don't walk around Brooklyn. Stay in your part of Brooklyn. You're down the street. Yeah, fuck him. He'll be fine. But he's an idiot. What was his great quote? I'm not saying the earth isn't round. We need to question it. No, actually, we don't. I mean, there are certain things you don't need to question.
The moon is round, motherfucker.
Right, exactly. You don't need to question whether the sun comes up in the morning, whether dinosaurs roam the earth, or whether the earth is flat. I don't care care what kind of hotep you want to be. You don't have to question.
We got a bunch of countries that have hated each other. They did not all get together and decide, well, we're going to do this one thing and think the world is round.
Right, we got it.
Sir,
Yeah.
I can't. All right. I need you to explain what's happening with this Latigra thing because I don't
Okay,
get it.
it's an interesting thing actually. So Latigra, which is was the sort of offshoot in a way of Bikini Kill, who was one of the most seminal women riot girl groups, blah, blah, blah. So Latigra's members, Kathleen Hanna and Joanna Fateman, are suing the songwriter Barry Mann, who's a famous of the Carole King era, very famous songwriter, over Latigra's song called Decepticon. And Barry Mann, much older, established songwriter, filed a cease and desist against Latigra, saying they did not have the right to use Decepticon because Decepticon violates the copyright of his song, Who Put the Bomp, 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 Bomp. That's an old rock and roll, Who Put the Bomp in the Bomb, Bomb, Bomb thing. All right. This is an interesting case because Latigra is saying, well, okay, guess what? Man didn't invent those words. Those words came from Black artists and Black doo-wop groups. Those are songs that have been used in doo-wop groups from the late 50s and the 60s. So it's not like blurred lines where they
came with some receipts. They're like, you stole from the Black kid.
No, and Kathleen Hanna, I know her somewhat. She is somebody who has always been very politically active and very kind of a fight the power kind of girl. But the point is really interesting because this is not a blurred lines where you lifted the melody and it's very obvious. This is not an Ed Sheeran having to give songwriting credit to Candy Burris because that's No Scrubs is obviously whatever that song of his that was super popular. This is like, well, okay, you wrote a song with those words. Guess what? Those aren't your words. You didn't invent that word. You took those words from a doo-wop group. So it's going to be interesting. They're saying it's safe for fair use laws. It's like, sorry, you can't say I invented boom, bomp, 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 boom, bomp. And it's true.
That is true.
It's true.
It's like,
if somebody had a song saying yabba dabba doo, I mean, it's like, it's not your words in the first place. So it's going to be, I don't know where it's going, but I just thought it was really interesting. And I thought, why are you suing fucking Latigra Barry, man? You're 110 years old. Shut the fuck up and just, really.
What did they sell? 15 of those? Like what?
No. They do actually sell a lot of records.
Yeah, they do, but it's not like
you're not. That's the group you're going to go after.
You know what I mean? We're not talking Diamond Records here,
right?
You know
and it's also
so it's kind of crazy
from a visual standpoint. You're going to go after two women? Like, come on! And they came back. Bless their hearts, man. They listen, like fuck you.
I love come back with some real receipts. Come back with the shit where it's like, they got have 5 fucking seats.
Oh yeah, no, and I was like, wow, that is like an interesting take. That's a good one. It's
that's when you gotta
give it to them. Even if they lose the case, you have to go strong J for the comeback.
No,
man.
strong J for the coming with not just that's not true, but here's the fact.
And
here's some receipts.
And not only that, you're stealing from Black people, so shut the fuck up. Yay. So strong J for Latigra. All right. You can take these next 2 and I'll go out and get a cup of coffee for this.
Nothing says, okay, you know what? One of them I'm not even going to talk about anymore. You know, she's banned from this show. They're banned from this show. They're banned. They're banned.
Good.
But nothing says Harlem like a bunch of white people with their cell phones out at 2:30 in the morning, marching down 126th Street, following Madonna in an ill-fitting dress with her weird not being able to sing on tone and a wig with a bang like a prayer, where they ended up in front of a church.
Was it Calvin Butt's church? Did they go to Abyssinia?
No, Abyssinia is over here by me. You know, she's not walking that far. She's not coming to 138. She's not going that far.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
But I'm just like, somebody texts me like, are you going to Madonna Harlem? I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not doing that.
No.
And you know, everybody knows that Madonna is my girl. I love Madonna, but she just makes it so hard for me to love her. She really does. It's really just, going to places where I'm like, what's happening? So you have these grills in your mouth, but you can't sing with them. Like, you're not on key, you're not on tone. That dress didn't fit right. This is all really weird. It's just all... So, listen, Madonna's always going to be Madonna, but I thought it would be a little more cool.
No, she's
fierce
the
lady.
whole look, and honestly, I mean, and this is not an age thing because I am a year younger than Madonna. It's just like you were the woman that was always in Good Deal. You and Debbie Harry, Debbie Harry. Look at how Debbie Harry is aging into her career, and look at how you're doing. Debbie Harry comes out and is still cutting edge, is still in your face, but looks amazing. Madonna is like, Madonna, that outfit wasn't even cool 40 years ago. You just look like Ilsa She-Wolf of the SS.
I was
crazy. You look crazy. No matter what age she was. Here's the thing with
I just want to say I saw that movie.
Me too.
I saw Ilsa She-Wolf.
Me too. In the movie theater. Me too. I did too. I saw it in the San Francisco equivalent of 42nd Street. I saw it too. In fact, I think I saw it as a double feature with something else.
Yeah, it was like a part two too. Anyway, but
anyway, no. I saw it. I saw it without shame. I didn't see it like I saw it. Yeah.
I want to say we went like opening weekend. Like
No, I saw it. I saw it. Bargain Matinee, Market Street Theater on Market Street in San Francisco. It was a big punk thing. Punk rockers loved that movie. No, the thing we've said it whatever. It's like Madonna, put as much effort into your fucking music as you do in your shock value, because it's not shocking anymore. You're boring. You're boring.
It's boring. Just and people are upset because she's called. What is she called? In her Madam X documentary, she calls Dave Chappelle the modern day James Baldwin.
She doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about.
And it's like, lady, have 5 fucking seats and she can have 6.
She can have 6
and put on a dress that fits. Yeah, and why can't you sing anymore?
Well, that's a whole nother conversation. That's a whole nother.
Don't go there. Listen,
that's a whole nother.
There was a time where she could hold a note.
All right, it's hard to it's hard to sing through grills. That's why rappers use grills, not singers. Yeah, she just needs to. It's like take a nap. In the words of the great Kendrick Lamar, sit down, be humble. Sit down, be humble. All right, let's kind of we don't want to make a complete downer, but we do want to acknowledge the passing of 2 disparate but very important musicians. Why don't you talk a little bit about Dion Estes?
Yeah,
please?
Man, Dion Estes passed away like 2 days ago at 65 years old, man. Dion Estes was part of Wham. He's really the 3rd member. He was the bassist, and he played on George Michael's Faith album and on Listen Without Prejudice, the first 2, his biggest 2 albums, and was part of his touring band until George died, And he
British? Is he British? Is he?
No, he's American.
American.
He was born in Detroit, and he moved overseas, and that's where his career started taking up. And then he had that great solo album that came out in the late '80s, and he had a couple of hits from there, like "Me Or the Rumors." But he in Heaven Help Me, which George Michael co-wrote and sang on, and that ended up being a top 5 hit for him. It's a great musician. Gone too soon, man. And for the Wham heads, it's like a punch in the gut, because it was those 3 guys, and then Pepsi and Shirley, right? So I don't know. It feels like we're losing a lot of legendary people, and it makes me sad because 65 is kind of on the younger side. 65
is. I mean, when you're 62, 65 is young.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But it is, and this is where I was talking to my doctor yesterday, because we were going through all my numbers. She's like, this is great, and we were just talking about Black men's health and how it's really important. And my doctor is leaving where she is currently to come and run a facility in Harlem. And I said, well, I'll come with you because she, for her, it's really important. She's like, the health disparities in our community are still so bad. Like, I want to come back and help people be healthy and get healthier in the community. And, when I hear about like somebody like a Dion in 65, it just makes me just think about how many, all of the Black men we've known in the music industry that have kind of passed away youngish and it just makes me sad. You know what I mean? It just makes me sad.
So,
but I wish people go back and listen to his album Spell. He has an album called Spell, and it's a great record.
All right, and also passing at the age of 65 was Depop. Depop was the drummer for the Bush Tetras, who, ironically, he died the night before they were having an album release party for a retrospective album and they continued with it in his memory. Depop was not a household name, but he was a New York. If you were in New York at that time, the Bush Tetras' biggest, probably only hit, but just a hugely important song in New York City.
And he was important in that scene. He was really important there.
Was Too Many Creeps. And Too Many Creeps came out in 1980, I believe, and it just summed up, 1980, 1981, summed up what New York City was at that time. And it's just a fantastic song, post-punk. Pat plays Cynthia Slay, who are still...
Did you know him?
I met him a couple of times. He was very nice. I interviewed Bush Tetras a million years ago, obviously, but I met him, actually, a roommate of mine had gone to college with him. So that's how I met him. But and we were Facebook friends and whatever. Very nice guy. I mean, just not that you deserve to die young when you're not a night, but a very sweet, very nice guy. Father of two. He was also played with everybody. One of those guys that everybody wanted in their band and was seriously considered as a replacement for Topper Headon for the Clash. So he was, not just some local guy. He was widely, came from a jazz background, New York native, born and raised, a Greek kid from Queens. It's just sad. 65 years old, died in his sleep. They don't know the cause. There's nothing suspicious. It's not, anything like that. So the Bush Tetras did not have a huge output. They had reunited a couple of years ago. I think they put out an album, but they were there were certain songs in New York, The Message and Too Many Creeps. You heard it everywhere. Any club you went to, you heard those songs. So check out Bush Tetras, check out Depop, and
well, they have a new box set, guys. So that's So it's called Rhythm and Paranoia: The Best of the Bush Tetras. So
and
you could get a collection, the collective of their work.
Yeah, and it's just sad because he did in the, just like you with DNS, in the world I inhabit, a lot of people knew him. I mean, a lot of people. He was just one of those guys. Anyway, next week, let's say anything. You want to wrap it up? So you're good at that. You're good at all the taglines. I'm terrible at it. If you only knew what it took this morning, man, it was just,
Amy was in 3 different rooms. She was outside. We almost had a full outside moment.
Yeah, it was exhausting, but hey, we did it. You know what I mean?
Can I just tell you that I don't know, like how I suddenly got sucked in this weekend to a 5-star moment. But when we talk about groups and people who are popular for a second, nobody ever mentions 5-star. And they had a bunch of hits.
Jarrell loves him.
I got sucked into a full 5-star moment. And man, listen, if you guys have not revisited them in a long time, dig back into some 5-star, like Let Me Be the One, Can't Wait Another Minute, Slightest Touch, Systematic, just really, really great, catchy shit. And for some reason, I was digging into my Denise Williams section of my vinyl and just playing some of those Denise Williams albums. Man, those vocals, she's an unsung singer that we don't talk about enough. She comes from the Stevie Wonder world and gospel, and those vocals, man, and her voice was just pure beauty and soprano and clarity and strength.
Beautiful voice.
Gorgeous.
I just, I don't know what I've been listening to, but Rod Stewart is one of my all-time favorite singers. I mean, he really is. To me,
I love his voice,
and I'm not talking about
his 70s, 80s voice.
Well, that's what that's what I was going to talk about. I mean, he, for my money, the first 4 records on Mercury Records, it is one of the great 1, 2, 3, 4s in music history.
Yeah.
Humble brag. I did the liner notes for the Mercury recordings when they put it together.
Did?
Yeah,
nice.
And I was so grateful that they asked me to write about somebody white. I went, yay! I'm like, you do know he's white, right? But I was also watching his Unplugged and Seated, which is, and what I've always loved about, first of, and I know people, they think Maggie May and Do You Think I'm Sexy? His voice has gotten, he combined him and he was, the offshoot of the Faces, which I love. He combined like Celtic music, R&B, soul music, folk music, and it's just a very idiosyncratic sound. One of the great covers artists. His version of Hendrix's Angel, his version of Elton John and Bernie Taupin's Country Comfort matches the original easily. Just one of the great covers. There's always a sense of humor and a sense of longing at the same time. It very much taps into that British folk tradition, which didn't really translate over here. But I've just been listening to a lot of him. For me, You Wear It Well to me is one of the greatest love songs ever. And one of the greatest lines ever in music is, I don't object if you call collect. And what's the other? Maybe I'll never decide. I don't know. He's great. So he's not obviously an unsung guy. He's a massive superstar, but he just seems like a cool guy too. So if you haven't listened to Rod Stewart in a while, I would recommend listening to some Rod Stewart. And on that note, take it away with the plug. Go, go, go. You're so good.
Well, guys, you know where to find us. Every Thursday, we come out as part of the Pantheon Podcast Network. So you can find us there on the main feed next to more than 70 amazing music shows, lots and lots of informative scripted shows, every type of music that you like. And us, there's a few little unscripted moments. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, iHeart, Stitcher, Apple, Google, all the places we're at, thank you. Keep on listening. Remember to rate us and leave a little star or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 and tell your friends. And you could also follow us on Twitter at Finishima, at IG at Immaletyoufinish, and on Facebook at Immaletyoufinish, all one word. We appreciate you. We love you. Thanks for rocking with us. We'll see you next week.
Take care, guys. Stay safe.
It's NFL draft season, and that means it's time to start thinking about fantasy football. FantasyPoints.com features industry-leading experts and prognosticators using proprietary hand-charted data to help you score more fantasy points. FantasyPoints.com is the place to go for whatever kind of fantasy football you play. Whether you play fantasy football, daily fantasy sports, or do a little bit of everything, Fantasy Points has the meticulously researched content to guide you to victory. And why wait for the fall? Fantasy Points also covers the new spring football league, the UFL. Join the guru, John Hansen, Scott Barrett, Joe Dolan, and other massive names in the fantasy football universe with an exclusive offer. Use code Pantheon for 15% off any Fantasy Points package, including the all-in package, with access to every article, tool, and data nugget that Fantasy Points has to offer. That's FantasyPoints.com and code Pantheon for 15% off at Fantasy Points. FantasyPoints.com, code Pantheon. Score more fantasy points.